I'm kind of more of like a wild card myself.
Really?
You don't know if I'm zigging or zagging.
Oh, okay. Zag for me a little, because this whole thing's been a zig.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay.
This isn't StarCraft streams. You studied music in college. What was your focus? Like classical music, composition?
It would have been a performance major. I think it's woodwind performance. I played saxophone. And then it would have been a composition minor.
So you're more of a jazz man.
Like the girl studies to lo-fi hip-hop beats.
We were speculating that before the show. I said, I think he's an Eminem fan. And
Obviously,
you said,
growing up, yeah, for sure. Major influence.
Can you go bar for bar?
Which ones?
Forgot About Dre?
First of all, hold on. First of all,
the Eminem verse.
Yeah, wait, that's
when
not an Eminem song. That's a Dr. Dre song. Okay.
Featuring Eminem.
Sure, yeah, but it's a feature.
Dre said next to burn down house. Ticky, 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 Slim Shady. Hotter than a twin lady. Twin babies. With a Mercedes band with the tint goes up to the mid 80s. Calling men ladies. That's what you do for your job, no? Sorry, Doc, but I'm being crazy. Do you ever go 8 Mile in a debate? Where you're like, I live in a trailer. My mama got Munchausen's. I'm gay. You should try that in a debate.
Yeah. I actually stopped listening to Eminem because he doesn't say the N-word enough for me, so.
He walked out in the gray light and stood, and he saw for a brief moment the absolute truth of the world. The cold, relentless circling of the intestate earth. Darkness implacable. The blind dogs of the sun in their running. The crushing black vacuum of the universe. And somewhere 200 animals trembling like ground foxes in their cover. Borrowed time and borrowed world and borrowed eyes with which to sorrow it.
And lo, for the earth was empty of form, and void, and darkness was all over the face of the deep, and we said, look at that fucker dance.
Welcome to Heat Death of the Universe, a podcast quaking in dread and cool as oh so many cucumbers, held together with staples and surgical gauze, sunshine and lollipops. It is 12:06 p.m. Korea Standard Time, Saturday, no, it's not November, it's December 14th.
We are the Decemberists this episode.
Year of our Lord 2024. You're currently listening to the past vocalizations of me, Joshua, name change, Noben Mutatio, and you're just about to hear the speech bubbles made flesh of Tim Tay-Sachs Calhoun Buckner, all the way over there in Los Angeles, California, America's Dream Factory. Guarded by the Dream Police, giving famously recorded dream beatings to Dream Rodney Kings and starting citywide dream riots. How's it going, Tim?
Oh, it's wonderful, and it's always nice to be on the only podcast that is asking you to please sign this MoveOn.org petition to ban the dangerous pedophile Jesse Signal from all social media platforms. We don't just want him off Blue Sky. I don't think he should be allowed on Twitch, Instagram, is there still what's it, Tumblr,
Snapchat,
Friendster, none of them. Snapchat, yeah, get him out of there.
MySpace.
How you doing tonight, Josh? Yeah. Live Journal, Dead Journal.
Going all the way back to Dead Journal. Doing good. I suppose we should just hop right into it because
Seems right.
Since last week, there's been
Get in, losers. We're talking about murder.
some interesting developments in the wonderfully named. I've realized this was, I believe, just a Truanon sub creation, the Kopay Killer. So in the Kopay Killer saga. I also remembered a name a nickname that I didn't bring up last week that I would mark down as my favorite. A number 1 with a bullet. Sure. Ooh, like pun now intended. Somebody, I wish I could credit them, but whatever. They suggested the invisible hand.
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty good name. But
that's a good one. I was going to say it sucks because there's so many better ones. I like the CPK, right? The Kopay Killer. I know you do too. The Invisible Hand is good. But this is one of those ones where, unfortunately, like, I think one of the lamer nicknames seem to take and hold because I'm hearing primarily the Claims Adjuster.
Claims Adjuster is pretty good.
That one's getting, but I'm just feeling like that's the one more people are wanting to adopt.
I think that plays into, there's a movie called isn't there a movie called The Adjuster? Or am I thinking of The Accountant? Maybe, yeah. Anyway.
Sure, that's like similar. I mean, obviously it's about it's just weird to me because I'm like, it doesn't even really fit. People who don't really understand insurance that well, like, kind of think that they know that has something to do with it. So it's like, cool, yeah.
It has an action movie kind of feel, and I just
a little, yeah,
looked up, and there is a movie called The Adjuster.
Okay.
1991 Canadian drama film. That's no fun. But the cover of it has, a hunk with a towel wrapped around the bottom of his body, and he's standing in front of a window, and he has a bow and arrow, and the arrow is drawn back, and in the foreground is like classic sexy lady legs splayed out on the bed with high heels on. And this is directed by a guy whose name I recognize, but I don't really know his movies that well. Adam, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Egyoyan. I've seen this name a lot.
Igen?
You know what? I'm thinking I'm confusing him with someone else. I'm confusing him with like a 90s Gen X guy who did a lot of like gay movies. This guy looks like he just did a lot of trashy like Skinamax style movies.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, I mean, I guess maybe, yeah. Maybe. Amanda Seyfried in 2 of his movies, so. Maybe
he moved on to more classy things, but some of these look like they were like straight to Showtime or Cinemax or something.
Sure.
Maybe now I'll have to watch The Adjuster.
Yeah, might as well. Who's this main? Oh, it's him. Okay, he looks very different with the mustache. The seemingly star Elias Codius, whatever. The Claims Adjuster becoming like the accepted nomenclature and like the winning nickname. It reminds me of like something similar happening in like at a wrestling show once that I was very, very annoyed with. Someone had like given me insider information about like a very small, stupid thing in an indie wrestling show that was like, oh, these 2 guys are going to be a tag team. And like nobody knew, right? So in my head, I was like, perfect. The one guy is like a stoner who likes to say bro all the time. And the other guy is like, was in the Olympics, was an Olympic wrestler. So I was like, when they come out as a tag team, I'm going to try to get everybody to call them the Brolympians. But what ends up happening is that the crowd decides that they want to call them the Chosen Bros. And that became like the official tag team name and everything. And I was like, I was there. I had I could have been the invisible hand. I could have like made the world a better place, but it slipped through my fingers as people decided that Chosen Bros was the name. And I was just like, Brolympians is right there. Such a better name. And it was dashed in the moment. It's the same thing with the Claims Adjuster. Because I think, again, CPK, such a better name. Because it has the acronym. I think that's cool and all that. But unfortunately, society has spoken and there's not much you can do.
The acronym can help you kind of get around like the feds that are watching us all the time in our leftosphere spaces. like someone brought up John Fetterman, and I was like, it'd be a shame if John Fetterman had a kinetic run-in with the California Pizza Kitchen or something like that. So
yeah, right.
You can't touch me, coppers. I'm just talking about fast casual California dining.
Yeah. And like he can't get mad about that because as a man of girth, he'll be happy to go to a
That's exactly where I was going with it. Yeah.
He's like, I want to eat that pizza. Like, he's so.
Don't worry, Fetterman's going to come up briefly in one of these stories.
Sure.
If we get to them, because I got a bit on the plate here. But
okay, but if instead of John Fetterman, he was John Give Head to Men, he would be popular streamer. No, continue. Not going back on that. We're not doing that again.
Well, now I have to just shout out that what we referenced last week, which is Adam Friedland and Destiny. They did end up going head to head. It was, it was pretty. It didn't disappoint. I enjoyed it.
No,
it was pretty funny.
Adam was incredible.
He was
Adam was so good on
He was very good. I would say maybe the standout highlight for me off the top of my head was very organically falling into a role-playing thing where Destiny was pretending to be Hitler trying to get into Vienna University, as Adam called it. And he's like, okay, you be Hitler trying to get into art school. I'll be the dean of VU.
There's a lot of artwork from Hitler that I like, and people can't separate.
Okay, so let's have a debate right now.
Okay.
You're the Führer Adolf Hitler. I'm the dean of the Vienna College of Art.
Okay.
Debate your way
right
into
to
college.
Auschwitz for you.
What?
I would deport you immediately.
You didn't have Auschwitz yet, you fucking idiot. Debate your way into my college. So I looked at your portfolio. It just doesn't seem Vienna quality. You're not VU quality.
I think I have a lot of potential. I ran a lot in World War I. Did that happen yet for this? Because he was a runner. I was a runner.
I don't think that running has anything to do with your...
While being shot at. Don't the best artists have like traumatic experiences?
Yeah, but everyone went to war in World War I.
Okay, but not everybody can also paint a little bit. Why are you so stuck up?
You're not getting yourself into college right now.
Why not?
Dude, just say you're gonna do the Holocaust later if you don't let me go. Okay, run it again and say, okay. I will kill every Jew.
Yeah, if you don't let me into college, you're gonna regret it.
Why? Because
I'm gonna kill at least 1 million Jews.
Well, I think that would be wrong. So guess what? Welcome to Vienna U. You are...
An artist?
An artist.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But then I get to year one and I just want to draw anime and then they kick me out.
They didn't have that shit yet.
Really? When do you think they invented anime?
After what those bastards did to our beautiful Pearl Harbor.
But anyway, just check that out. I'm sure it does not need a R bump of promotion, but whatever.
There was a couple good standout moments for me, but I think the number one funniest thing that happened on the whole thing, and obviously like what good is it to like point out jokes from a thing or whatever, was when he was going off on doing the Eminem lyrics and he's like, "Ticka ticka Slim Shady, calling men ladies. That's kind of your job, huh?" That shit fucking killed me because he came up with it in the moment and it was just so off the cuff, stupid and funny to me that I fucking loved that. That was so good. Calling men ladies. That's kind of your job, right? Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, and he gave Mr. Benelli enough rope to hang himself with. He started just in ridiculous trash talk of Norm Finkelstein. He's like, he's never read books, and it's like, dude, you just told us that you read a book for the first time in your life, like
in October
last year.
In October, he said you started reading books in October.
Which he literally said, he's like, I got diagnosed with ADHD, and he's like, oh man, are you really gonna do this fucking TikTok, my mental health drama shit? And he's like, no. But it was amazing. I finally I got medicated. I could finally read a book.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it was so good. It was very. I have not been paying attention to the Adam Friedland show. I think I've mentioned it before. Just not for me, but that was a good one. I really appreciated that a lot.
I'm an occasional dropper inner to the show. But back to the task at the Invisible Hand. I was gonna say, nickname discussion be damned. I mean, it's all kind of obsolete now because since our last episode, the identity of the Invisible Hand Kopei killer has been revealed, or has it? I mean, that's a whole separate discourse going on. Is this possibly a patsy? Is this really the guy? There's, the internet is really exploding with, oh my God, I can't remember. I have to see his name to remember it, his full name. Mangionean. Luigi Mangionean.
Oh, yeah.
When I first saw this name, I was like, oh, this is just someone fucking around on Reddit or whatever, wherever it was that I saw it, because the name is just very comically Italian. But no, it's real. I don't even know how much we need to get into who this guy is. He's just been everywhere. I'm sure people listening are fairly aware, but he's a 26-year-old guy who's politics seem to be pretty, everyone's trying to push him in one direction or another for their own reasons. He's actually a radical far leftist, which is totally not true. And I'd be happy if he was, but he's not.
Right.
But I also don't think he's a far right fucking alt-right guy either, which is what other people are trying to say. People are just scouring his internet history essentially and are looking at his Goodreads bookshelves and stuff and making all these judgments or whatever. And I don't know. To me, he just seems to be a kind of typically a la carte with politics kind of guy. And even one of the dismissive articles I have here still kind of gets at that. They call him the median American voter, but they're doing it in this really fucking sneering British The Guardian way.
Right.
It's just he likes Joe Rogan and AOC. The fuck?
I heard it kind of explained, and they call it teapots or whatever. Do you know about that thing? That's kind of what he fits into more than anything, and it's
teacot or teapot?
No, teapot. Teapots. It's it's a new-ish.
Is that an acronym, or you mean teapot?
Yeah, but no, it's TPOTS.
Okay.
And I don't really even know what it stands for, but it's the post-rationalists or whatever. It's basically I don't know. It's a very fucking dorky and nerdy fucking movement community, whatever.
Technical
of
pots. Does it have to do with being tech? Because he's in the tech industry.
Yes. It's pro technology, post whatever enlightenment kind of people that are it's very fucking stupid, but it's kind of the vibe. He actually really does he follows a ton of accounts that are part of what they consider part of that movement or whatever. And it's weird to me because I see the people who are their reaction is to point and laugh. Oh, isn't it so funny that the leftists now have to deal with the fact that their hero is this, or the obviously the very funny article that's the real class hero is fucking the guy who got shot or whatever, Brian Thompson, and this and that. And it's for me, wrapping yourself up in any of the identity politics of the two men that were involved in this is fucking just stupid. It's the same thing as wrestling fandom. I talk about it enough on the podcast. Being a fan of a wrestling company as opposed to just the product and the people and stuff. It's it's very fucking stupid, and getting yourself caught up in the wrong thing. It's honestly, it's it's good. It's good. For me, I'm okay, cool. A bad guy with weird politics killed a worse guy.
Yeah.
What for me on my side of the road, I'm awesome. And on top of it, it's oh, cool. A lot of people are misconstruing it and getting the right politics out of it. This is fucking win-win-win as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
A dumb guy with dumb politics, he's getting in trouble. He kills a rapacious, evil person. And the normies are fucking getting class awoken, or at least not even awoken, but are just getting whipped up into a frenzy to be hey, we should all do that for the right reason. It's fuck yeah, this rocks. I don't understand dunking on leftists, whatever. I guess it's because it's funny to dunk on Twitter leftists and be haha, your hero is actually not he doesn't believe in communism at all. He cares about really stupid fucking libertarian bullshit. I don't care. Cool. He's going to jail forever, probably. I don't give a fuck about him. Like, what he did is more important than him and what he believes.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree. And that's my online echo chambers. That's kind of been the consensus there as well, is like, the other stuff is more just for fun. Like, oh, he read this book,
Right.
like that's kind of funny or whatever. Like
Right.
he said this, here's a picture of him doing that. And of course, everyone's just like thirsty after this guy as well, which is kind of funny in itself.
Right.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of articles here. I kind of want to read this one by known absolute irredeemable piece of shit Brett Stevens. Brett the Bedbug Stevens, as others might call him.
Yes.
But anyway, provocative title here by Brett Stevens, who, if you don't know, is just like, he was still holding on to the idea that the Bush administration had plenty of good evidence to go into Iraq at the late date of 2013, I believe. So that tells you a bit about this guy. He's also, in the last year or so, been writing some of the most like disgusting, deplorable things about Israel, Palestine. He's a known Zionist, etc. But anyway, very bad guy, folks. Very not nice. He writes, Brian Thompson, not Luigi Mangione, is the real working class hero. And yeah, sure, in some sense, Brian Thompson was more of a working class person. He grew up like he grew up more, not poor even. He just grew up with less money than Luigi Mangione, who happens to have grown up in a fairly wealthy household. I don't even know if this is confirmed, but just what I saw, like kind of floating around, and I didn't dig into it, but whatever.
6.5 uncut. I know, that's what I heard too. I know, what were you saying?
His parents' fortune comes from like private, like a chain of like private like nursing homes or something, which is kind of weird considering the cause he took up here. But anyway, yeah, he like went to private school, whatever. He went to an Ivy League school for university. He's like a tech guy, blah blah blah. But let's just watch Brett Stevens like kind of totally miss the point.
Yeah, right.
He says, one of the more moving stories in the Times this week is an account of the life of Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare chief executive who was gunned down on December 4th outside of a midtown Manhattan hotel. Thompson grew up in a working-class family in Jewell, Iowa, a tiny farming community north of Des Moines. You know, actually, a lot of this doesn't matter. I'm going to skip past some of this. His mother was a beautician. His father worked at a facility to store grain. Thompson's childhood was spent going row by row through the fields to kill weeds with a knife, or working manual labor at turkey and hog farms. Those details are worth bearing in mind, as some people seek to cast his killing as a tale of justified, or at least understandable, fury against faceless corporate greed. How does any of that negate that it was a justified or understandable fury against faceless corporate greed? It doesn't. One ex-Times reporter, Taylor Lorenz, said she felt, quote, joy at the killing. Elizabeth Warren, the Massachusetts senator, offered that violence is never the answer, but people can only be pushed so far. Also, apparently she like immediately walked that back with just like, you know, falling to the floor, begging for forgiveness, essentially.
Yeah.
Pictures of Luigi Mangione, the 26-year-old charged with the murder of Thompson, have also elicited a fair amount of oohing and aahing on social media over his toned physique and bright smile. Well, yeah, have you seen this guy? But if Mangione's personal story, at least what we know of it so far, is supposed to serve as some sort of parable, it isn't one that progressives should take comfort in. So eventually, he's just doing the same thing you were describing about like Twitter people trying to dunk on people from like that are.
Right.
But it's like they're trying to obscure the fact that it's not just radical leftists who are, to whatever degree, like celebrating this, feeling some kind of catharsis, feeling some kind of, you know, schadenfreude, because so many people have gotten fucked over by American health insurance model.
Right.
I saw some like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh both like put out their own little bullshit things about this, where they're like, the radical left is celebrating blah 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 blah, and then you look down in their comments and they're just getting swamped by like their own like loyal people being like, I'm as conservative as it gets, motherfucker, but you're way off on this. Like, we're all feeling like what everyone's feeling about this. And then of course tons of people like sharing their personal horror stories with dealing with, if not specifically United Healthcare, like just healthcare in general in this country, or not having it at all. But Brett Stevens doesn't care about any of that. He goes on to say, God, a bunch of annoying people keep trying to like compare him to like Raskolnikov. They're like just like trying to get heady with it, with the Dostoevsky references. He calls him here.
Yeah.
He calls him here Raskolnikov with a silver spoon. What's funny here too is that Brett Stevens is trying to like take these digs at like he's just a little rich boy. Look at Brett Stevens' bio. Fucking Massachusetts boarding school from birth, just like every privilege you could imagine. Like he's like, yeah. Anyway, goes on to call Luigi. He compares him. He's basically comparing him to Bin Laden. He's talking about the idea of like rich people doing bad murder terrorism style shit. So he's like, Osama bin Laden came from immense wealth. Angry rich kids jacked up on radical nihilist philosophies can cause a lot of harm, not least to the working class folks whose interests they pretend to champion. Shut up, Brett Stevens. Call the working class folks. Like, I just picture him like saying that in the mirror in his Obama, best Obama voice.
Right.
Although he's just like a straight up conservative, so I guess he wouldn't necessarily be channeling Obama, but whatever.
I mean, we talked about it before, but like they're all so fucking cucked by the left and everything that like he would still be channeling Obama because like they think that that's like everyone thinks he's the man. Fucking, I talked about it, like the Obama to Trump voter. They still think Obama's just the coolest ever. He's the best talker ever. We all have to fucking be like Obama.
Right. Well, yeah, especially journalists, quote unquote, blowhards like this guy. They're, just a bunch of Josh Shapiros. We're going to get to him in a second, too. As for the suggestion that Thompson's murder should be an occasion to discuss America's supposed... Okay, this is what I clocked as the most egregious part of this whole article, and this is the second to last paragraph, so we're almost done here. But this is the most irritating part of the whole article to me. As for the suggestion that Thompson's murder should be an occasion to discuss America's supposed rage at private health insurers, it's worth pointing out that a 2023 survey from the Nonpartisan Health Policy Research Institute, KFF, found that 81% of insured adults gave their health insurance plans a rating of excellent or good. Even a majority of those who say their health is fair or poor still broadly like their health insurance. Okay, but what's the numbers on that? You're excited to give a specific number on the excellent or good. But anyway, no industry is perfect, nor is any healthcare model. I may disagree with you there. I mean, because he's saying they're not perfect, but what he's really trying to say here is they're all basically the same. America's, Sweden's, Iceland's, we're all the same, essentially, more or less. Couple of minor little differences. It's like, no, motherfucker, the U.S. healthcare model is very famously the most fucked up on the earth.
Right. Oh, I don't know. Didn't you see? Did you not hear the epic, fact checkerinos on old Luigi Mangione's his God, why can't I think of his manifesto?
No.
Yeah, I mean, actually, according to the people who really broke down the numbers, actually, our healthcare system here is pretty dang good.
Yeah. I saw someone reference. They're like, some very dubious misrepresentations in his manifesto about the healthcare system.
Yeah.
It's like, shut the fuck up, Jesus. It's
also like, he fucking shot a guy. He's not like super smart. We don't like expect him to be like a fucking genius. He shot someone, you know?
And I mean, I don't know. Apparently he's like a whiz at tech stuff or whatever. But anyway, who cares?
Sure. Yeah.
You're right.
I know what you're saying is there's different kinds of intelligence. I'm sorry. I shouldn't hold him up to the white man's IQ test, and that's what decides his intelligence.
Well, I'm also realizing that I am doing a kind of like knee-jerk thing where I want to defend Luigi. I have to remind myself that like we started off saying here, like you made it very clear, like it doesn't really matter what his opinions on a lot of stuff are. Yeah, it doesn't matter. The action and like even his motives are righteous. Like, I mean, he was like describing it as like sort of like a preemptive like self-defense against people that are trying to kill him and others, which is correct.
It's also, you know, this is a term that gets thrown around in the wrestling community a lot. You got to separate the art from the artist.
Sure. Yeah, that's a term that gets thrown around in the wrestling community. Oh,
a phrase, yeah. Yeah. Well, no, I'm just saying it just does in the wrestling fandom. We talk about it all the time.
No, I know.
You know, murderers and rapists and racists and all of that, you know? But yeah.
Right. I was just laughing at that because, like, when if I was going to say, like, where do you hear the term separate the art from the artist the most? It'd be like, I don't know, like a
podcast,
small liberal arts classroom, like college classroom.
Sure.
I never would have first jumped to like the wrestling fan base, but it makes sense now that you spell it out for me. I got it.
Yeah.
So he says, no industry is perfect, nor is any healthcare model. And insurance companies make terrible calls all the time. Oh, wow. How gracious of you, Stevens. Insurance companies make terrible calls all the time in the interest of cost savings. He makes it sound all so just like on the up and up. This has no like downstream horrible effects. You know, it's just they're just trying to save a few pennies. What's so wrong with that? Okay.
Right. You know, an umpire makes a bad call every now and then, but we don't throw the whole game out. We don't say baseball shouldn't exist just because make a couple bad calls around the edges here and there, right? Same thing with health insurance and people dying, people's lives being completely ruined. It's like, we don't throw the whole thing out.
Sure. At least 15 times a game, the umpire gets up there with an AK-47 and he takes out about half the team.
Right.
No baseball game is perfect, but are we going to cancel baseball?
What? We're going to start playing soccer instead? This is America, okay? Just because the referees kill less people during a soccer game doesn't mean that we have to stop playing baseball.
You can take my umpire's AR-15 out of my cold, dead hands before I do that gay soccer shit. Finally, he says, but the idea that those companies represent a unique evil in American life is divorced from the experience of most of their customers. Based on this one cherry-picked study that you found? Come on. Oh, boy. Here's where Fetterman comes up. Closing words here. Thompson's life may have been cut brutally short. Unlike, the thousands, maybe millions by now in the long-term aggregate of people's lives cut brutally short by his decisions, his leadership as a CEO. Now, forget about all that. Thompson's life may have been cut brutally short, but it will remain a model for how a talented and determined man from humble roots can still rise to the top of corporate life without the benefit of rich parents and an Ivy League degree. Again, who are you, Brett Stevens? He's acting like, yeah, I'm one of those humble guys. As for the killer, John Fetterman had the choicest words. No one's ever said that before, sincerely.
Oh.
John Fetterman said he's, quote, going to die in prison. The peerless Pennsylvania senator told HuffPost. Yeah, he's peerless, all right. He's the only half Shrek, half Anton LaVey senator. Congratulations if you want to celebrate that, is what Fetterman said.
If he had any peers, we would have to be looking for a solution of some kind.
A final Shrek-lution.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's Brett Stevens talking out of his ass for a few paragraphs there, but
Now, an unrefined gentleman, someone who does not have the class and the taste that I have, would say that it took all of the power in Brett Stevens' body when he said there's no such thing as a perfect healthcare system. To the next thing that he wanted to say was, but there is such a thing as a perfect child's penis. But he stopped himself there. He did not want to give away the game because he says, in his eyes, they're all perfect, just the way that God made them.
well, as long as they're circumcised.
Right. The thing about this is that it just absolutely misses the fucking point and the It's like these people, they get paid to do words for a living, but they're fucking just absolutely so brain dead stupid that they don't understand how words work, or they are intentionally trying to like mystify the concept, because being of the working class and then becoming an evil CEO billionaire fuck is not a working class hero.
Right.
It's a class traitor. It's just completely missing the fucking point. It's the person, I don't even know how to describe it. I'm like trying to think of like an example, but it's like, I was like trying to think like a story where like someone like fucking, becomes a billionaire and shits on everyone from his hometown and rooting for that person. But it's like, they don't write stories about that because nobody likes that idea. And it's like a clearly like an intrinsic idea. No one's like, it's cool to like turn your back on the people. It's like, it's why Darth Vader is not considered the fucking hero of Star Wars, right? They're not like, it's cool that like he went from being, just a normal fucking Padawan to murdering tons of Jedis and becoming the leader of the evil side. The Jedi or whatever, the fucking Sith or this, like, I'm out of my element talking about this, but you get my point.
Yeah.
Right? They don't call him they don't refer to, Darth Vader, I mean, he went from just being like a Jedi, whatever. He's a real Jedi class hero. That's what we consider him, because he became the leader of the Sith. They do not understand, or they're at least just trying to mystify and cover up. And that's like probably the real answer, because that's what the point of something like the fucking New York Times and any journalist really of this fucking ilk is, that they're trying to hide from you the fact that there is no war but the class war, right? So they're trying to cover up the fact that he's not a working class hero. He's a fucking working class traitor, and the real war is between us and them, and he joined them.
Yeah, I mean, the term...
You get my point? Yeah.
The term class traitor is not in his, like, vocabulary. Like, he doesn't believe in the concept, because, like you said, there is no class warfare. And if people pretend there is, well, they're just morons who are misled, and they don't understand how our beautiful democracy works, and the beauty of the invisible hand of the free market and all that. But I know about the beauty of another invisible hand. Well, an invisible unibrowed Italian man's hand.
Yes. Well, I was going to say, it's like we're all temporarily assassinated CEOs, and we just can all just strive to become, full-fledged alive CEOs again one day.
I guess I'll also just throw out there, I'm not going to really read from it, at least, not today. Did you read the manifesto? It's pretty short. I kind of liked that it was short.
I did not
like that about it.
Read it, but I've heard it read from beginning to end multiple times. I did not read it myself, though.
Well, I mean,
But yes, I know what it is.
Effectively the same thing. So...
Yeah, it's like, I'm one of these people that doesn't say I read a book if I listened to like an audiobook. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that. Like, I didn't technically read it. I did want to find a scan of the original, because I've heard it described both ways, that where he refers to United Healthcare, and some people say it specifically says the fourth biggest company, and then other things I've said that it's like illegible. And then the thing that was confusing is because the fact checkerinos, as I mentioned, said that technically, it's actually the 14th largest company. So I'm like, well, if there's a scribble there in handwriting that is being read as 4, but that's not correct, and it could possibly be 14, that seems plausible to me. So I did want to take a look at it, because I didn't actually look at it.
Well, then the fact checkers would have a fucking field day with me because I've been referring to it as the largest healthcare insurer in America.
No, that is correct, but it said fourth largest company. Period,
period. Okay.
But it's actually 14th largest, and that's my point. Is that if we're talking about some people looking at something and saying that's a 4,
what a
and then other people saying that we can't tell what's written there.
What a gotcha.
Could it have been a 14? Yeah.
The way I saw it was illegible, but yeah.
Right.
I mean, the famous line was he said, "These parasites have it coming" or something. And that came out, I think, even before the whole manifesto came out.
Right.
Anyway, he also, we haven't really heard him speak other than when he started yelling something and immediately, as he was being transferred from, the court to somewhere else. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
It was hard to hear what he was saying in the beginning. I was re-listening to it over and over, asking other people what they think. But anyway, he yelled out some good kind of, anti-establishment line. But I mean, to me, the funnier part was what's the game plan with these fucking cops and all of these people in charge? Anytime he opens his mouth, are they just gonna rush him to the nearest door away from the cameras?
Right.
Unless they give him the Bobby Seale treatment and literally bind and gag him in the courtroom or whatever, we're gonna eventually be able to hear him give his thoughts.
Right.
Even though I'm pretty sure his lawyer is probably telling him to shut the fuck up at this point, because it seems that the current tactic with his lawyer is that they're saying that there's just not convincing evidence that he's the guy and he hasn't confessed or anything. I mean, you could take the manifesto as a confession, but really not really either, because it's not
because it doesn't actually say anything.
It's not very specific, and it's not saying I did something. He's just kind of talking about this is the fucked up situation. Although, I mean, I think he says something about I'm going to be the first person to do something kind of serious about this or whatever. And anyway, I think at this point, even the people in the more conspiratorial minded places that I frequent on the internet have kind of seemed to have kind of given up on that and are just accepting that this is probably the guy. That's kind of where I've landed, but who knows? I mean, I wouldn't put any kind of shenanigans past our larger policing systems in America.
Right.
But a couple more things about him. And I'm going to shout out now. Check out our show notes because I aggregated a bunch of good articles here, but we don't have time to get into all of them by a long shot. Luigi Mangione's commonplace, deplorable politics. That one is so condescending. Luigi Mangione is the median American voter. I already kind of referenced that. It's similarly condescending. Decivilization may already be underway. So then there are these other ones that are this is signaling the beginning of a new era of violence in America, which is the most laughable fucking bullshit ever. I mean, in some, okay, even if this sets off a whole string of CEO assassinations, that's not the most violent period in American history.
Right.
It just makes me so angry to read about all these, and then you have these academic little twerps rubbing their chins and going this portends a disturbing trend coming in the future of political violence. It's do you think there wasn't political violence before? It's because what they mean by political violence is a lone gunman targeting either an elite CEO or a politician. That's the only thing that can be considered political violence. It's I consider, decimating entire population of people in Gaza political violence. I consider what the healthcare industry does just as regular everyday business to be mass political violence. But it's no, that's Israel defending itself. And the other thing is just business. It's just, they're called externalities, Josh, you moron. It's like,
Yeah, right.
It's one of the most gross words for like when a corporation is responsible for killing a bunch of people or injuring a bunch of people or ruining a bunch of people's lives. So that, like, that's literally what they call it in the boardroom and on the fucking spreadsheets. These are externalities.
Well, so, I mean, I assume you know what, like, the technical term of it means or whatever. But yeah, they use it colloquially that way, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I understand, like, my point is that, like, they dress this stuff up in, you know,
right,
corporate speak, but it's literally no different than walking up to someone on the sidewalk and shooting them in the head. And did I say literally? I should say effectively.
Right.
Yeah, there's some other, what the glorification of Luigi Mangione reveals about America. There's like all these fucking like think pieces like this. But I want to talk a little bit about Josh Shapiro, or as I have here in my notes, Josh the white Obama Palestinian slayer Shapiro weighs his stupid ass in on Luigi.
And this is Josh Shapiro's husband, correct? Or I was saying Ben Shapiro's husband. Yes.
I was going to say, what? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a real power couple.
You know, one's a liberal, one's a conservative, one's a Democrat, one's a Republican. But, you know,
that makes it spicy.
At the end of the day, love is love. And they do really agree on a lot more than you would expect.
Right. It's true.
But so I don't know, he was like interviewed somewhere and here's what he had to say about it. In America, we do not kill people in cold blood to resolve policy differences or express a viewpoint. I understand people have real frustration with our healthcare system, and I have worked to address that throughout my career. I wonder what he's done. I didn't look into it, but I wonder exactly how he's addressed the frustrations we have with our healthcare system. I'm sure he was pushing for Medicare for all real hard, right alongside Bernie Sanders.
Of course.
But he goes on to say, but I have no tolerance, nor should anyone, for one man using an illegal ghost gun to murder someone because he thinks his opinion matters most. In a civil society, we are all less safe when ideologues engage in vigilante justice. In some dark corners, this killer is being hailed as a hero. Hear me on this. He's no hero. Some dark corners, like, I don't know.
Like, literally, like, 75% of all Americans, at least, 80, 90, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way, it definitely, let's just say, it does not feel or appear at all like it's just some dark corners on the internet. It's boobers, like, anyway, we talked about this last week.
Sure.
It's across the spectrum, folks.
Sure. I still even, have people at my work that are like, he's scary and bad.
He looks like the Joker in the flirting picture. He
does look like the dang Joker. He does look like the dang Joker. But you know what I'm saying. So it isn't as, on the internet, it's like 100%, but you have to extrapolate. There's people that are just like kind of weirdly not on the internet. Or you know what I mean? They are, but they're not.
I know what you mean, but just as a general point, not even related to this specifically, I feel like every day that goes by, this demarcation between these are just internet online people and this is everybody else is like less and less stark because I mean, I know, like, whatever, we could, like, look up some facts, like, how many people actually even use the internet. I mean, it is a lot.
Everyone uses the internet, but not everyone
posts. Even that's not true, like, on an international scale. But, like, I know what you're saying. Like, there's people who are, like, just more, like, whatever. Let's just call them terminally online people, whatever.
Right.
There's degrees, right? And then, like, I think that internet discourse, you can it's like what people do with like polling and stuff. Like you're taking like the fucking polls, like the one that the fucking Brett Stevens cited, mm-hmm. They probably surveyed like 3,000 people and then they apply it to the entire, 330 something million people in America. Like, I think, I don't know. Anyway, I'm just saying that, like, I think you can, I guess it's not a scientific, process, but it could be, and it probably has been to some degree. I'm sure there's some number crunching nerds out there looking at this shit, but I like, okay, anyway, I take your point. Yes, not everyone's 100% on board, and it's certainly not in the way that, like, say you and I are.
Right. Well, very few people feel the way I do about it. That's for damn sure. But yes, I know what you mean. Because I've heard nobody make the point that I said about how, like, I don't give a fuck about him this way or that way. You know what I mean? Most people are like, have some fucking opinion about him, which I think is like, who cares?
Gotta come hang out in the radicalization chamber.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all people are saying over there.
The closest thing to anything that I think is like cool about the Mangione dude is that he like gave a good book review to the Ted K book. And like Uncle Ted is the man, so yes, for sure. But also it's like he's fucking dumb as rocks. I wonder if he really got the right idea out of that. You know what I mean? Well, I guess I'll say he definitely got the right idea out of it. But, you know what I mean.
Hey man, he had infinite jest on his 2 read shelf. That's pretty cool.
That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing, is it? I don't know. All right.
I mean, it's better than if he had like Jonathan Franzen on there or something. Anyway.
Fair. Yeah, that's true.
I forgot where we were at. Oh yeah, Josh Shapiro. So yeah, I just like, so Josh Shapiro says all this shit, violence is never the answer, blah, blah, blah. Obama, I'm Obama. I'm Obama, everybody.
Right.
Let's go sign some bombs for fun that are going to be, yeah. This is the guy who's signing. I didn't even think about that until just now. This is the guy who talked about signing fucking artillery that's going to be crushing the heads of civilians.
Yeah, as long as it's not a CEO.
Yeah. It's like, what if we find he finds out that it's like, oh man, that Gazan was a small business owner. No.
What are these, Palestinian babies, the CEO of pooping their pants? No one cares about that.
Hey, baby, call me when you graduate from pooping your pants to running a Fortune 500 company, all right? All right. Ciao.
Then you'll deserve to live. Then it's a travesty when you die. No. But yeah, a lot of the same, that's fucking crazy how that's like a 1-to-1 comparison, because the people that are like, this Mangione is a sicko for who carves words into the bullets to send this dark, evil, twisted message. And it's like, this motherfucker was writing on bombs that are being dropped on fucking preschools.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Jesus Christ.
I didn't even think of that either. Yeah, that's like that's definitely like the 1-to-1 comparison there. That's so Jesus. But on top of his horrible thoughts on international warfare, whatever, somewhat famously, apparently this was like the reason he didn't end up getting the VP pick, because could be controversial if people found out that he basically helped like cover up a murder, like the most obvious murder in all of the history of murders. Right. So it was basically
after
Luigi
Mangione,
sure.
It's number 2 most obvious murder. But yes.
I heard about his lawyer is that people were citing this as like confidence that like he might be able to actually get this guy off somehow, which I don't.
Nice.
But he had a client in the past that was like on camera killing someone, and he completely got them off of any. I don't remember what the details were though, but anyway. But yeah, on that subject, I just wanted to maybe remind people or tell people who didn't know, like, because this is a crazy story, and I'm gonna give like the very, very quick abridged version of it. But like, this woman was found in her apartment with 20-something stab wounds all over her body, like half of them like in the back of her neck, and like on her back. And of course, this was initially ruled as a murder. But Josh Shapiro came along and got that shit shifted from murder to suicide. And not based on anything to do with the medical examiner, who like you could see interviews with the medical examiner like recently where he's still talking about this. He's like, because it's like so obvious. I mean, it's the most obvious thing ever. Like, no one has ever killed. It's like physically impossible to kill yourself that way. And the other thing is that
hey, you know what? Hold on, because Luigi Mangione is going to be killing himself in a very interesting way very soon. So we'll see. Maybe he'll do this too.
Yeah, 10 shots to the back of the head. Yeah.
Hanging from a doorknob, yeah.
I love the, like, pulling the gun around and getting multiple shots off in the back of your head.
That's tough.
So, yeah, and her apartment was, like, untouched, basically. It just looked very much like she was stabbed somewhere else. Her fiance, who's, like, the number one suspect, probably panicked, called someone, helped move the body, and then like they went as far as to like lock the apartment from like inside or whatever. So it was like, how could anyone have possibly been in here, you know, besides her? Like, it just doesn't make sense. So she must have killed herself, and that's where it all ended up. But then it like you find out that Josh Shapiro's like good buds and like political allies and like whatever in the same donor class and like in the same donor circles as the uncle of the prime suspect, the fiance of the victim.
I thought it was like literally Josh Shapiro's nephew himself. Is that incorrect?
I looked it up recently, and I
Okay.
mean, I could have seen something wrong, but that's where I ended up. Because actually, I first was just going off on like just pure memory, and I was saying like the guy stabbed his wife to death, and the guy was good friends with Shapiro. I believe it was like nephew of his friend,
Okay.
or you know, more like sort of like close colleague, like they probably owe each other favors type of thing is what you could extrapolate. But yeah, so I mean, just listening to this guy pontificate about violence is never the answer. He's signing fucking bombs that have been now dropped on the heads of Palestinian children. And he did this insane thing. He still walks around like with a straight face, pretending he's a human being. When he changed the murder charge to actually she killed herself. She stabbed herself 20 times to death. I mean, what the fuck off, Mr. Shapiro, sir.
Well, to be fair, that suicide sounds about as reasonable and makes just as much sense as the, you know, confirmed suicide of Elliott Smith. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that he did it. She killed herself for sure, just like Elliott Smith did. No one could have gotten in there.
I know you're an Elliott Smith truther, but
How could anyone? How? It's not possible.
I mean, maybe if Elliott Smith had not been stabbed in the heart from the front, I would be a little more
Sure.
willing to buy into
Even
that
more
conspiracy theory.
But again, it's like, oh, they were in the other room. How could I have done it? How could anyone have done it? He was in the shower by himself. You know.
We'll do a deep dive on the Elliott Smith truther thing. Do a Courtney killed Kurt, and Elliott Smith's girlfriend killed him.
Okay.
Double-sewed.
Courtney didn't physically do it, all right? She just paid El Duce to do it. Anyways.
Right.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah, Courtney Love came down here, asked me to whack Kurt Cobain. I remember exactly how he said it.
Yeah.
And then
That's pretty good, right?
And then he ended up like getting run over by
Yeah.
a train.
Yeah.
Right?
Like within hours of fucking telling the story, he somehow gets hit by a train. I mean, this stuff does not add up, okay?
Another
But this is not the point.
suicide. Although I do know
Suicide by train.
there was a student at my school who did that and lived, lost their legs. It's pretty rough.
Well, that's not really making a case for that it was a suicide or whatever, you know, because that sounds like pretty easy to survive.
I was more just saying that suicide by train is not unheard of. Also, superstar podcaster Nick problematic last name Weiger, tells this story all the time on the podcast about how his great-grandfather walked in front of a slowly moving train in front of a large crowd of onlookers who were all screaming, "No!" and got slowly run over by a train.
That rocks. That's so cool.
And then
he traumatized so many people.
And then the other ongoing bit on that podcast is that Nick Weiger is obsessed with what he calls the choo-choo. He loves to take trains everywhere, including like the LA metro.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Josh Shapiro. So, like, so let's talk about a couple of the after effects of this whole thing. There have been wanted posters of healthcare CEOs. I think other ones from United Healthcare being plastered around New York City. Then this woman in Florida has just been arrested because she was being denied coverage on the phone. And she got really upset. And she said the words delay, deny, depose, you people are next, which to me, I don't think legally passes as a threat. But I don't. Right. But so I think it's very obvious that this is like trying to just make an example of people, like, you know.
Right.
Powers that be are trying to scare everybody into.
I see it less that way and more as like trying to mount like the more of an argument to like put Luigi away even bigger, you know what I mean?
To be like he's influencing other people.
Look at what he's causing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know I don't think that has any legal bearing, but I mean, like, still, like, the prosecution will probably bring up shit like that. You're right.
It has legal bearing, I guess, in the idea that like it can affect sentencing, right?
Okay.
So it's like, he's a danger. Look at what he's caused. He's causing more than blah, blah, blah. He needs to be this. He can't be allowed to speak. We need to have some kind of gag order. We need to have like a long term. He can't be interviewed. He can't do the Charlie Manson thing and be on 60 Minutes while inside prison. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He's fomenting like this negative, blah, blah, blah. That's basically it, right? This is why he needs to be in solitary. He shouldn't be allowed to have any kind of visitation. Like that's the idea, right? Which is like fucking sickening really to think about. But because this feels like a fucking stretch. I mean, I guess the fact that she directly referenced the thing or whatever, but come on.
But also,
come the fuck on.
Yeah, it's become a symbol of the assassination. But the gross part about it is like she's using the word. I mean, she and Luigi were referencing the fucking words that these fucking evil fucks used to kill people and ruin their lives. If they're not killed, they just have their lives ruined. There's another little thing here because this article I have about it, this did happen in Florida. First words, a Florida woman, and I got to thinking about how, like, for how many years, like, I think I'm officially off this like local Florida woman does white trash thing.
Right.
Like, I think I'm pretty sick of that whole. I think I have been for a while, but like it just hit me really hard this time because it's like she really didn't do anything that qualifies as that kind of quote unquote wacky Florida person, missing their teeth, does something fucking stupid. It's like she was being denied health care and she got upset and said like, you deserve some bad karma. That's like how she said it to the cops when they came knocking at her door. She said healthcare companies played games and deserved karma from the world because they are evil. She's
not wrong. Everything she says there is correct.
And she said she used the phrase because it's what's in the news right now.
Right. Yeah, the whole Florida man, Florida woman thing is like it's very Reddit. I know that, I know you like to spend a lot of time on Reddit, but, it's very Reddit derogatory, parentheses derogatory, if you know what I mean. Like that whole kind of humor.
I understand what Reddit guy means, and I'm a special person who's only just started using Reddit in a very limited capacity, but yes.
Right, and like, so that's like, the beginning, like, idea concept, and then like the second part is like understanding like kind of the principles of what causes the Florida man like phenomenon, like in the fact that it's because like of the laws when it comes to like public records in Florida, like also makes you go like, oh yeah, like that's very stupid. It's very stupid that people latched onto that because like you just happen to be able to have access to all of these stories from there, and like this stuff is happening everywhere.
Yeah, of course.
It's just this is a place where you can access the information easily.
Well, that's what it made me think of. I was like, have you ever read an article that starts off with, actually maybe they do this with other states, but it's just that, it doesn't have any connotations the way that Florida woman or Florida man does. But I was like, I feel like if this happened in Minnesota, the first line wouldn't be Minnesota woman.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, because they already, But the article already tells you where this takes place in the first fucking line before the actual article starts, you know. But
Right. But yeah, you know.
and then this one made me laugh. I'm glad I found this like at the last second before we got on here too. I had not heard about it somehow, but it's all over the internet. Elon Musk's like public appearances since the shooting, he's just been carrying his like 5-year-old son around with him, like literally on his shoulders in some of the pictures. What the fuck? He's using his kid as a human shield.
It's amazing.
It's so wild. I mean, that's then again, of course, it's Elon Musk, so it's like, okay, of course he does some shit like this, but like, even I was a little taken aback for a second when I saw it, because like I saw someone just mention it, and I thought, oh, like they're just making a joke about something that's not happening,
right.
And then I like just searched Musk use son as shield, and all these things came up.
Right.
I mean, of course, Elon Musk is not copying to this, but like the speculation is rampant, and I think justified.
Oh yeah.
I mostly bring it up because it's like it's just another piece in the big puzzle here of this is having a really real life effect, and it's freaking people out who deserve to be freaked the fuck out. Like all the way up to the king shit of all the CEOs, Elon Musk,
Donald Trump. Oh. I thought Donald Trump was the head CEO because he's the CEO of America.
I mean, I guess Donald Trump has. I was gonna say he has pretty good security, but he's had his ear shot, so maybe not. Maybe he needs to start carrying Barron around on his shoulders.
Nice, yeah.
It would be quite a feat. It'd be hard to get through at most doorways, I would imagine. Just as kind of a quick timestamp what happened this week, because like a lot of shit happened. When we were talking last week, you were like, I think Assad is dead, and what really had happened is that the Assad government had basically collapsed, like as we were talking. So that was
he was like fleeing.
Big deal. Yeah, he's in Moscow now, and it's just a complete.
Now, why would he go there? Why would isn't it dangerous and unsafe in Moscow? Why would he go there?
Well, not for him.
Oh, he's on the bad guy side. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Syria and Russia are pretty tight. Yeah, I mean, there's no way we're gonna get into that now, but I'll just say that like the disgusting thing is that to me, and like, listen, I know it's like it's a very complicated situation. But I think what isn't complicated is that the people that have won and taken over Syria are, let's be out, for me, this is generous, at the very least, just as bad as Assad. But I'm gonna say further, probably way worse. Almost certainly way worse. Like already, like these, extremist factions, which, the West calls in almost like a trolling way, the way they call them moderate rebels. It's so fucking funny.
Right.
Yeah, they're already like basically setting up Sharia law. They're like firing female judges. I mean, this is like all within 48 hours of the government collapsing. And it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good at all. But yet you still have like libs and conservatives alike just being like cheering this on. And like part of it is just part of it is just they hate Russia. They don't really know what's going on at all. They just know that they hate Russia and that Syria and Russia get along. So therefore it's a good thing no matter what. No matter who does it, it's good that they toppled the Assad regime.
Right.
Which is, as baby brained as it gets. And bunch of wacky shit continued to happen with all this stuff happening in Korea that we did talk about last week, mainly involving it's more like a bunch of plans that never came to fruition have been found out and testified to by various generals and higher ups in the military, including like dressing up South Korean soldiers in North Korean uniforms and
right.
Basically just doing like false flag type shit. But let's talk about Biden. Biden's pardons.
Riding with Biden?
And
We're still riding with Biden over here?
Riding with Biden. That's the ongoing joke in the old subreddit.
That he can win. He can still win if you vote for him.
Everyone. Well, there was that. People were posting all their pictures of writing in Joe Biden on their actual ballots.
Nice.
And now it's people just going like Biden 28. You know, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. I mean, there's already that precedent has been set. You know, Trump did it, so why not Biden?
Because Biden will be 90 by then. And
okay,
he'll just be actually dead.
No, there's no way Biden's going to die within the next 4 years. He's still spry.
Yeah, sharp as a tack. Better than he's ever been.
And twice as deadly.
Yeah, so he's continued pardoning people. You know, Hunter was first and foremost, of course.
Right. He should really say fuck it and pardon himself. Like, the thing that everyone asks, could Trump really do it? Could Trump pardon himself? You know, and I don't know, but Biden should just fucking do it. That would finally complete the entire fucking narrative of the whole, like, Biden is just as bad as all of the worst things that people say about Trump.
Yeah, and especially if he came out with a bunch of, like, bronzer on his face to announce it.
Yeah, perfect.
The Biden simps are trying to spin this as like wow, what a gracious man. He grants clemency for nearly 1,500 people, the biggest single day act of clemency in modern history. And then I've got 3 specific examples of 3 of these people, 3 of these 1,500 people. One, someone convicted of possession of child pornography, Chinese national, has been granted clemency in exchange for 3 Americans who are in Chinese prison. Believe it or not, the Newsweek article doesn't go into what the fuck the Americans were in jail for. I mean, whatever. It might not be anything interesting, but I couldn't help noticing that. And also, they couldn't help themselves from just like in the middle of the article throwing in like, some sources say the child pornography guy has family connections to the Communist Party of China.
Oh, okay.
And I was like,
that makes sense.
I was like, there's the same amount. No, it's not the same amount. I actually kept posting the wrong numbers when I was posting about this. People kept correcting me. I was like way off. I was like, there's 1 billion people in the Chinese Communist Party. Like, no, it's like 130 million, which is still huge. That's bigger than any.
That's like a billion. That's
yeah, it's close enough. But anyway, my point was,
listen, if you were stuck in a room with all of them, it would feel like 1 billion.
Thank you for taking my side. My point was that political party is a big ass fucking party, so it's like it's not that wild and improbable that someone might have connections to the one political party in China.
Right. It's also funny to be like, we gotta fucking ante it up. It's not bad enough that this guy's a fucking pedophile.
Right, exactly.
Kitty porn maker. We gotta make it worse. We gotta say he's a communist too.
They don't even reference the child porn like after they reference it in the very beginning, and then they're just like, and he's Chinese and a communist probably.
Yeah, right.
and then the rest of it was just like, oh, some are saying this is a bad look, bad look, Biden.
Right, bad look, Biden. Everyone.
But then there are a bunch of people like defending it too, as like, hey, he's not just pardoning him; he's getting Americans back here from Chinese prison, so it's actually a good thing. It's like, what the fuck ever. But then this one's more clear cut to me of pardoning just a. Like, okay, hang on. Let me rephrase that. I can't see any way people spin this next one the way they tried to spin the kiddie porn haver. Biden commutes sentence of kids for cash scandal judge Conahan, whatever. And the sad thing is about these kind of judges, there's so many of them. There's so many. There's so many that have been caught. There's so many have been caught, and I can only imagine there's way more that have not been caught and never will be caught. Just like literally taking bribes to sentence kids for like loitering to like, you know, doing significant amounts of time in like juvie. It's disgusting. I mean, like I don't think I really need to get into how fucked up that is, right? I mean, it's It's awful. And it's weirdly commonplace, I think. But yeah, so that's another one who got the mercy from Biden. Of course, no like actual like innocent political prisoners got commuted as far as I know. I feel like or got clemency. I feel like I would have heard about that by now if they had. And then finally, this weird, corrupt horse girl woman got granted clemency.
Oh, good.
Her and another guy who were both like considered two of like the most corrupt like city officials in they weren't actually in Chicago. Okay. Well, they were in Illinois. I think they tried to make it sound like they're in Chicago, but it doesn't really matter. But I was gonna say, like, wow, if you're considered like hugely corrupt in Chicago, like you're really
Right.
doing numbers. But yeah, it says here, Biden just commuted the sentence of Rita Crundwell, former comptroller of Dixon, Illinois, who embezzled $53 million from city taxpayers to buy hundreds of American quarter horses and compete against fellow owners like Terry Bradshaw. One of the all-time craziest American crimes. I don't know if that's... I'm reading a tweet here from someone who I don't know, but
Yeah.
So yeah, these are just some of the cast of colorful characters that have gotten the old Biden empathy treatment.
Right. Do you think? I mean, I know the whole he's like really fucking out of it. Has no like. Do you think he has any clue who he's like pardoning other than
Hunter?
Other than Hunter? And even that, it's questionable because he thinks he might be pardoning Bo from hell from like.
No, probably not. I mean, honestly, he probably didn't even know he was pardoning Hunter. I bet he's the most likely one that he would be, cognizant of helping out.
Right.
Also because, you were saying like he should pardon himself, and I was going to throw in like pardoning Hunter. But then this comes back to a good point you made last week. I was going to say pardoning Hunter kind of is pardoning himself, because a lot of his own sort of corruption in Ukraine and whatnot is connected to Hunter Biden's like emails and whatever, where he calls he calls Joe the big guy or whatever. Yeah. But then, your point was really good. I thought where like, if he's pardoned of all these crimes, like he can still be forced to testify against Joe Biden were charges to be brought to him, but they won't be. And then that goes into this very long article about Trump that we don't have time to talk about today. But in that article, he mentions how like he this is just showing like to me like how much of at the end of the day Trump is just another neocon typical politician, like where at the essential core, because he's used the same kind of conciliatory language. He's like, I'm not gonna do anything to Biden, basically. Like, we don't need to focus on the past. But then in the next paragraph, he's like, Liz Cheney should go to jail for fucking with me.
He's not wrong. I mean, she should go to jail.
He wants like all the January 6th commission people to go to jail, and she was, the head of that or whatever.
Right.
But then when it comes to like the Bidens, he's basically just like, of course not, because like, incoming presidents always forgive and forget the outgoing president, no matter what. But speaking of Trump taking office soon, Trump invites Xi Jinping to inauguration.
Right.
It's like a big deal, but also not, I guess. I don't know. Because like, just there's so much anti-China bluster within the Trump like orbit, and within Trump himself, like especially on the campaign trail. I mean, he's like literally talking about like 100% tariffs on Chinese goods and shit. But of course, again, this is just Trump says fucking whatever and doesn't follow through on like 98% of it.
I really liked the like I'm gonna do 90% tariff on Canada and Mexico, and then like okay, Mexico has, they come to the table and they've fixed it. Everything's good. We're not doing the tariff. And then the president of Mexico, Scheinbaum, being like, we didn't do anything. We haven't talked to him. Nothing has happened. That was fucking amazing.
Right.
That story arc is phenomenal. That is like, it is so cool. It is so cool because none of it matters. Like, it's all fucking kabuki theater. Like, you're better off just sitting back and just being like, fuck it. Like, let's just see what happens. But the scary part is like, every time, for every like 90 times that he does something like that, there's like the one time that he murders Soleimani or whatever, like the assassination thing. It's like,
Right.
What's going to be the line that he crosses, right? But yeah, we'll see. But it's very funny that was like an entire fucking news arc story, everything that just happened in Trump's tweets or fucking truths, and none of it was real.
Yeah.
He's not even the president yet.
Right.
Like, he can't even do anything yet. Yeah.
The article about inviting Xi, they also said that he's invited Viktor Orban, who I would say is maybe the single most evil European alive today. So it kind of like any cool guy points I might have given to Trump for inviting Xi are like pretty much canceled out by inviting Viktor Orban as well.
Right.
Also, I'd be really curious to see how President Xi responds to the invite, because I guess Trump's team has like confirmed that they did invite him, but they haven't like heard anything about like accepting the invite or not. Because I could see it going either way. I don't know. The Chinese are pretty good at this diplomacy shit, so. I don't know. Like, I couldn't help think like this as soon as I saw that headline, like, well, the Democrats would never do this. So like, who's the real fucking like xenophobic
Right.
people now? Like, and of course I'm not defending like understand the MAGA is like a racist thing, like overall, but it's just kind of funny to me, like seeing certain tropes about Democrats and Republicans just like flipped upside down on their heads. So anyway,
Right.
I guess we could we'll save this because I kind of want to read this whole article, so we'll save it for later. I'm
good.
sensing a nationwide backlash against cannabis in America based on two articles that I saw.
Yes. It turns out that Reefer Madness was true all along. Brought to you by the same people who made up Reefer Madness the first time.
Yeah. This article, we legalized our sins. Now they're coming back to bite us. It's so over the top, wild, scaremongering shit. And then there's a separate article where Elton John, known person that we should give a shit what he thinks about stuff like this, he said that legal marijuana is one of North America's greatest mistakes. But anyway, that's just a teaser for another day.
Right. Onward and upward.
How about, I think we could do these last two real quick and then we'll call it a day. God hates comedy.
Okay.
I guess I'll credit this person because they wrote, this was not part of the NPR headline, God hates comedy. I can't stand pickles 69 on the TrueAnon subreddit posted this. God hates comedy. Judge rejects the Onion's bid for InfoWars. I don't think we've talked about this on the podcast before.
We did.
We did?
Yeah. No, we did. Yeah. Very, like, not in
I mean,
depth,
there's not
but
much.
We did
There's
talk
not
about
much
it.
to get in depth about.
Right.
How funny would it be if the Onion got InfoWars?
Right.
I mean, that's kind of all there is to say about it. But
We talked about how it was a story, but then also The Onion did a fake article about it, and then Alex Jones went on his show and talked about it as if the stuff from the fake article was true, but then also fake. It was like, yeah, we talked about it a little bit.
okay, I don't remember that. I feel like the last time we talked about Alex Jones was just talking about his like bankruptcy shit. But I believe you.
Right.
That or you're confusing us with Knowledge Fight. You might have heard a Knowledge Fight.
No,
episode.
because
I'm kidding.
yeah. exactly. No, but yeah, no, we did talk about, because it was funny because it was like Alex Jones was like on his show talking about like the stuff that was in the joke article as if it was real, and it fit right in with everything else because everything he does is fucking ridiculous, you know.
Yeah, so this bankruptcy judge just rejected the Onion's bid, and I believe what it ultimately just came down to was they said it wasn't a high enough bid.
Yeah, which is going to be a funny thing for Alex Jones to have to try to spin.
This is really the saddest news of the last year, I would say. But anyway, that's it on that, as far as I have anything to say about it. And finally, what up with these drones? These mysterious drones that have been circling around the Jersey skies. There's some like Republican congressman who's like freaking out about this, and I watched the little like 2-minute or whatever interview with him on Fox News, and if he hadn't, the thing is like the clickbait element of the whole thing is they're like, New Jersey lawmaker fires back after Pentagon dismisses claim drones may be linked to Iran, quote, weakness and stupidity. So like he's this, you know, Republican dickhead, whatever, and but if he hadn't just asserted like this is probably Iran, but then by the end of the article he's going, it could be Iran, it could be China, it could be anybody. And it's like, then what was the point of starting off this way? So if you erase that from what he says, he actually does sort of make a good point about the way that the government is reacting to this, and that, you know, I could see this being like a weird, I'll say it, psyop type of thing, just to like fuck with people's heads and distract people.
Right.
Because it's got people's attention. But yeah, then I saw like, what do you call it? A fucking when the White House whatever Defense Department spokespeople come out and talk to the press conference. That's what you call that. So a reporter cited this Republican congressman who's like really obsessed with these drones, and the spokes lady, who, side note, fucking 5 on the binary for me. I can't even remember her name. I think I've only seen her a couple of times. She doesn't appear as often, at least in my algorithms or whatever, as the vampire one and the ventriloquist dummy looking one, John Kirby. But anyway, she just said like, there is no Iranian mothership, because that's what the language this Republican guy used. He's like, there's an Iranian mothership off the coast of America sending these drones in. So anyway, she just like flatly denies it. And even the kind of like confident flat denial of it is slightly suspicious to me. I mean, ultimately, I think it's all probably nothing. And I'm not like following the story even that closely at all. But it is kind of weird. It's kind of weird that these, and the thing that the Republican congressman kept repeating is that, and it's like he's talking about shit he doesn't know, but he's like, we know these can't be civilian drones because they're way too sophisticated, and then he said, and our government said it's not their drones, so then what's the only other option? It's got to be one of our enemies that hates us. It's like, so you're acting like Mr. like skeptical, but then you're just like, well, our government said they're not theirs, so okay, I believe that without any questions. So it's got to be China or Iran or Russia or I don't know, it could be anybody, Venezuela, whoever. But his point that I agree with is that the U.S. like military could just take one of these things down and take a look at it and be like, okay, here's what it is. But instead, like, the people in the government just keep saying like, don't worry about it. We know they're safe. We don't know what the fuck they are or whose they are, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. So that's the part that does seem like weird and psyop-y to me, is like, it just feels like it's like this drone swarm, like gaslighting campaign. It's like, what? They might as well just be saying like, what drones? We don't see any drones. They're just like clearly like a fucking cloud of drones like flying over Trenton or whatever. That's a New Jersey city.
Hey,
I thought of
Trenton
right
makes
away.
the world takes, buddy. Trenton makes the world takes.
Oh, what's this lady's name? Whatever.
Listen,
5 on the binary.
if people want to hear about this lady to jerk off to, they're going to have to join the Discord. That's where we're going to drop the name.
Yes.
And
videos and pics.
Yeah.
We'll have a whole...
We're going to make a channel for jerk off stuff.
Yes, join the He Death of the Universe Discord and check out our JOICEI text channel.
Yeah.
I had a funny thought about the drone thing. At least I thought it was kind of funny. I'll just read what I wrote. It'd be funny if they started playing ice cream truck music just to fuck with people with these drones. That's the U.S. equivalent of the IDF positioning drones in Gaza that emit sounds of people screaming for help in Arabic to lure people into kill zone range, or just torture the injured and displaced by blasting the sounds of gunfire and explosions all night so people can't sleep. In America, getting tricked for a second about getting a treaty treat is the same level of crime against humanity. And spokeslady, if you're listening, I can change you, or I'll give it the old college try.
Perfect.
All right. General recommendations. I got one. I found this this fiction writer through the Kush vlog subreddit. Actually, someone posted about him saying that he's kind of got Matt Christman Kush vlog vibes or something. So I was like, I'll check it out. His name is last name is hard for me to parse out. It's a Thai name. His name is Tony Tulathimutte. Tulathimutte. I guess he's actually fairly well regarded, but somewhat new fiction writer.
Wait.
He does short stories, and I think he's just released a collection of them, which I'm gonna get my hands on soon. But I'll put in the show notes 2 places where you can read 2 of his short stories for free. It's good stuff. A lot of it is about pornography, I'll say, but it's not. Okay. I don't know. It's kind of just about like loneliness and like the internet age. I mean, that's like such a reductive way to put it, but you know, I got to kind of rush through this so we can get out of here. But it's very good. I really liked the 2 stories that I posted there, and I recommend just looking into him to see if it sounds like anything you might be interested in. His novel that he wrote, I think 4 or 5 or something years ago, also sounds pretty interesting and got a lot of good rave reviews from like established, literary fiction people. And yeah, so check it out in those episode description, show note areas. Tim, you got anything you want to shout out?
I'll give my general recommendation. I'm going to recommend that you behold a golden calf. Everyone listening to this, make sure that you go out there, and anytime you see a golden calf in the wild, just make sure that you check it out, see what's going on, kick the tires a little bit, look at it. That's my recommendation. If it's there, you might as well behold it.
All right. Getting esoteric, I think, in the recommendations.
A little bit. It's a reference. It's
And like I already said in my general recommendation, and we'll repeat, go to the episode description, scroll down a little bit. You'll see something that says commiserate on Discord. Click that link. Come to the Discord. Join the Discord. Participate in the Discord. Also, I'll shout out DJM 6000 Discord listener who's been MIA, and usually he's posting up a storm there. So hope you're all right, buddy. Come on back.
Godspeed.
Also, he just so happened to kind of disappear right around the time of the CPK killer. So who knows?
Yeah. Okay. Listen, we're not a teapots podcast, but okay.
Yeah, true. Oh, there was something else I was going to say. I don't think I even mentioned this to you. Fuck, I should have looked it up first. Just give me one second. I can get it on my phone.
Okay.
Shout out to listener Chris Fuess, Fuess, for being the first person to subscribe directly to our Buzz Sprout, which is our host site.
Oh, yeah.
You know, threw some monthly subscription money at us, which is much appreciated. It brightened my day.
Yeah.
Little things like that go a long way for me, and I assume for Tim as well. I could just let you speak for yourself, but I'm ordering for both of us today off the menu. So yeah, I wanted to do that last week and I forgot. So there's that. And Tim, you have another podcast. Where can people find that?
Oh, yeah. Violentpeople.co. Just check that out. You'll figure it out. That's it.
Also, episode description, scroll down further, past the Discord, past the other things, and you'll find links to Tim's Q and TR podcast and the violentpeople.co website, collective wrestling podcast / essay writing collective. Is that a fair characterization?
Yeah. I mean, it's a website, you know, we do like different stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Also, ratings, reviewing, subscribing, 5-star reviews will be read on the show. And as Governor Josh Shapiro always says, it's not violence if the bitch stabbed herself 100 times in the back. And gotta have them ribs. And IDF pussy too. Good night, good luck, good morning, Vietnam.
Something's waiting on the other side of me, and I know someday the sides will cease to disagree. All in time, all in time. Formation of thee from the very air that we breathe, the masking of sound through skins and souls and debris, out of time. In my mind, out of time. In my mind, reliance will seem to be the only word that you see. Yet forgive all these things as if the water could choose to belong to the stream. Try to dream outside of the
first voice recording was made in 1860. It was a 10-second fragment of the French folk song Au clair de la lune recorded by inventor Edward Leon Scott de Martinville. But who will make the final voice recording and when? What will it be? Who will hear it?